Hey there, guys. How's it going? Welcome to Breakfast All Day. I am Christy. That is Alonso. That is Matt. Next up for us is Ammonite, which is quite lovely. Matt will tell us about it.
Yeah, Kate Winslet stars as Mary Anning, who was a renowned paleontologist. This is a little bit later in her career. Currently, as we catch her in this movie, she sells seashells by the seashore.
That's why you wanted to
You've
describe this
been
one.
waiting. Oh man.
So she is pretty much on her own. She's very cantankerous, and she spends a lot of time walking around the beach in Lyme, pulling fossils out of either the rocks on the shore or bigger rocks that are kind of buried in these kind of clay-like cliffs. A young man comes along, Roderick Murchison, played by James McArdle, and says, "Hey, I will pay you to teach me what you do." And his young bride, played by Saoirse Ronan, is very quiet, very pale, and very sad. As we come to find out, Mr. Murchison goes on a trip to Europe to do some more paleontological work. He leaves his wife because she's too ill to travel. We're not quite sure why. There is a moment she turns to him in bed, young Charlotte, that is, and he turns over saying, "Not ready for another baby yet," and we haven't seen a baby with them. And he then decides he's going to pay
Mary
Anning. He's going to pay Mary to kind of keep an eye on his wife because she's too ill to travel to Europe. And off he goes. And then Mary gets sick, or I'm sorry, Charlotte gets very sick after this terrible swimming scene because her diagnosis from the doctors was, go to the beach, get some sea air, go swimming.
It's always the sea air, right? The sea air is going to fix everything.
I mean, I will say I'm a big fan of what the doctor says. Hey, just go to the beach for a few weeks. Okay.
Sounds good.
Doctor's orders.
They don't mean the England beach.
Right. So she gets very ill, and Mary is forced to take care of her, and they grow closer. Charlotte starts to open up about who she is, and we see some more spark come into her, and she starts to open Mary up a little bit, and then they start making out, and things get sexier from there. But this movie is lovely. It's this beautiful story about these two women in this relationship, completely unexpected, and they both kind of find each other and bring out, a tenderness, especially in Mary Anning, that we based on the way Winslet's playing it early on, that she's not even capable of. There's hints at a previous relationship with what is that, Fiona Shaw, who shows up in this, and so does what's his name, Alex Sachernow.
He was the star of God's Own Country.
Yes,
right, which Francis Lee also did, and this covers somewhat similar territory about a same-sex couple getting together, and one of them is, if not broken, at least not exhibiting damaged. A lot of kindness, right? Damaged. Yeah, I thought this was beautiful.
And they're never warm.
Right. The sound design.
Yeah, go ahead.
The sound design in this movie is stunning.
It is.
Absolutely stunning. We're probably almost an hour and a half into it before we get any score to speak of at all. There's only source music on screen briefly at one particular scene, and it's all just sound. I mean, it's all just kind of on camera. There's no music
ocean
to tell
is
us how to
always
feel.
There.
Right. Yeah, I thought this was a lovely film. I really, really liked this. I will say there's one particular sex scene that I thought was much more intense than I really had expected, but I'm not complaining. Yeah, this movie's terrific.
It's really hard to have sex, though, as we found also in God's Own Country, when you are wearing these big chunky sweaters and like layers upon layers, and it's it's cold. It's the southern coast of England.
But nature finds a way.
It does. Yeah, this is quite lovely, and I think the reason I very much appreciate it but don't totally love it is because it does cover almost exactly the same kind of territory as God's Own Country, which was so startling and so alive and
Yeah.
so visceral, and
And
this
and it's
is the
also
same
on
kind
the
of movie, exactly.
and it's also on the heels of Portrait of a Lady on Fire, which
Right,
is
which I was gonna say, that's also hard. It's impossible not to keep thinking about Portrait of a Lady
yeah,
on Fire, and that's just a weird stroke of timing.
right.
That
But
you
no,
would
it's
have these two very similar lesbian love stories, and
costume
like
dramas.
costume with on like windswept
Mm.
coastal
Oh, so it's
scenic
not
settings.
it's not like Armageddon and Deep Impact where somebody's like, oh, we got to green light our own version of this.
Quick,
Right.
rush those lesbians into
Hey,
theaters.
yeah,
so we can
exactly.
see this.
Look in the stack. Do we have any period lesbian dramas?
It's like White House Down and Olympia Has Fallen, or whatever the hell it was.
Right.
Olympus Has Fallen. So it's an unfortunate bit of timing that was
Yeah.
such a sensation, and it's so extraordinary. This is quite lovely on its own, but does pale in terms of, yes, they're both very restrained, but
Yeah.
that film, Portrait of a Lady on Fire, finds a spark, no pun intended, that this, I'm not sure it ever does. This remains a slow burn the whole way through, and it's really, really detached. I mean, almost too much so. I mean, the end result is that it's kind of quietly devastating, but there's never, I don't know, there's like an oomph that's missing.
Well, I mean, I think it's true to the Kate Winslet character, who is so locked down, and you get the sense from Fiona Shaw that like this is a woman who just holds her cards so close to the vest, and she feels so sort of burned by the outside world and the patriarchy, basically, who has been silencing her achievements as a scientist and as an explorer and paleontologist, that she just remains very closed off. And so I don't know. I think that yes, it does kind of pale next to those other films, but I think there's so much to recommend here. The two lead performances are really powerful. There is a real intensity to that relationship, even though it is a much more quiet one than maybe we would have expected from another filmmaker. I think maybe if a lesbian had directed this the way that a woman directed Portrait of a Lady on Fire, would be looking something different. I agree. Like the sound is amazing. There is a bit of a closed offness to it, but I think it dovetails with what the story's trying to do. Weirdly, we in recent weeks we've had Happiest Season and Uncle Frank, which are also about queer relationships in different time periods, but they all kind of boil down to the idea of like, what am I to you in the world? Like you and I have this bubble where we can be together and we can have sex and we can be intimate and we can be close and we can touch and all that stuff. But then what happens when we escape that into the real world? What am I to you there? And so I think this movie has it explores that really interestingly, both in terms of the geography that we're dealing with, but also the era of England and what was expected of women and what was expected of women in society. And I like that it ends in a way that doesn't very neatly like make it all work out or not work out or whatever else.
I like also how you see some of the seeds of Kate Winslet's character's repression in the kind of day in day out routine she has with her mom, played by Gemma Jones, who there's this whole like obsessive compulsive daily cleaning of her little ceramic figurines. And I don't know if that is a product of some sort of mental illness.
Well,
or-
we find out later what those figurines represent and why they're
Right.
important. So.
Right, but the fact that is, it's a nice grace note to explain what that relationship is like without having to spell it out verbally.
Yes,
Is
absolutely.
what I was trying to say.
Yes, agreed.
So yeah, it's lovely. Make you want to wear a sweater while you're wearing it.
Yeah, for sure.
I'm saying 8.
I said 8.5, and as you were just saying about Nomadland, it's a movie I wish I could see on the big
Yeah.
screen and hope to one day.
I don't remember what I gave it.
You said 9.
Yeah, 9. I'll stick with that.
Okay, 8.5 is our number.
Nice. So yeah, it is opening theatrical. No, it's streaming now. It was theatrical. It is now streaming, so you can rent it at home. So check out Ammonite. Thanks for watching. Like this video. Subscribe to our YouTube channel. Check us out on the social media at BeFastAllDay, and visit our Patreon page at patreon.com/BeFastAllDay. Plenty of extra goodies that are exclusive to our subscribers, TV recaps, classic reviews, and more. Check that out. Thanks for watching. We'll see you guys next time.